Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. And we are having some lovely days. It's still warm, but it's not nearly as warm as it was. So you'll probably notice a few things are missing now. The 3 plants that I was going to take to my sister Rosie, and the 1 plant that I was going to take to my sister Kathy, because she loves butterflies. I mean, everybody loves butterflies, but she especially loves butterflies. So I got her a little one from this one, which the root broke off, so I'm hoping it will build its own little root and go ahead and stay alive, and I think it will, hopefully. So I had a wonderful day yesterday. I really did. My sister came over and she was down in spirits and in body and had to come to a doctor's appointment, but she left smiling with a couple of plants to take with her, and I know that she still has a long road ahead of her to heal, and on emotional level as well as the physical level, that I know the Lord is with her, and she does know that too. That doesn't make us exempt from all the struggles of life, and it was just good to feel like maybe I was a blessing to her, and I know she was a blessing to me. Isn't it strange how you can feel so down and then be with somebody you love and start having memories of that person, knowing what a part they've played in your life? It's just wonderful. Family is wonderful. And I got to see a lot of mine yesterday. I got to see my mother, 3 of my sisters. I visited with my longtime friend on the phone, and it was just such a wonderful day. So actually I'm assuming that those people that I love, and I know they love me, probably lift me up even more than my garden does. But my garden is lifting me up today because I didn't water yesterday, and look at this. Everything looks good. Well, maybe not this one little thing right here, but it's just building its root. It's going to be like Kathy's plant, and it's going to droop for a while, and we might have to let it finish drooping, and when it starts to pick its little self up, we'll clip the old droopy off and let it just go and grow strong and healthy. But my little plants made it fine, even this one right here, which is the number 1 I look at because I know it's the first one to start drooping in the front. And look at this. I haven't watered since day before yesterday, and it's looking great. So yeah, I'm happy about that. It's so wonderful just to have a pretty enough day that the plants don't droop and that they just look all shiny and bright, and it makes me feel all chipper and shiny and bright. And my mother is doing well, and my friend's mother is doing well, and they've had some health struggles, some really big health struggles, but they're doing well. They're strong and healthy and happy, and that's the way we love to see it. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could always be like that? But then maybe we wouldn't know how wonderful it really is, because we wouldn't have seen the other side of how our health can be, how life can be. I noticed my little Ceanothera angel wings that I put back down. It had pulled itself out of its little root, almost out of the soil, not totally out, but it's still looking pretty peaked. I hope it makes it. You know, I did have 2 here, and I decided I would take the one. Actually, I took the biggest one to my sister Rose because I thought, well, one of them should have a good chance in life, and it's not this one because it's going to go in my house, and I've told you how I do with house plants. It's not good. such a beautiful morning, though. It really, truly is. It's so nice to have just some nice enough weather that you can walk around without just being sweaty and hot. And just everything feels fresh and beautiful. And we're supposed to get rain this weekend, so that'll be even more wonderful. I purchased this little stand, and I'm going to paint it because it's got some paint already on it at our local Etc. shop. And I also got some more little garden angels to go in the garden. And I purchased this little one because it won't be long now that I'll be having to bring a bunch of this stuff inside. And my house is small anyway, and it's already, my daughter gets on to me for it being like a hoarder's house, she says. It's not that bad, in my opinion. But anyway, I thought maybe if I could stack them up on top of each other on this little stand. I hope it's got enough room in between that I can get several on there. But we'll see. Somehow I'll get them in there. I couldn't stand to not give them a chance to live. Look at this rubber plant. It's got brand new leaves on it. Several. They're going into that little fall time that's close to the time of the spring when they've renewed themselves and ready to put their energies into looking beautiful because they know they can now. This little man and his wife actually belong to my sister Kathy, but she didn't take them home with her. I think she's going to let me pretty much have them, but they're always hers, so anytime she wants she can come and get them. This little girl should be my friends that I was telling you about, but she gave it to me. So I'm certainly enjoying her. She does seem to like it in my garden, and I certainly like her there. It looks like one of the little coleus clippings that I put in this one is really shining. The others I put in before it got cool enough. Evidently you can't even see them, but there are some down there. They just aren't doing as well because it was just too hot for them when they went in. I thought it might be for these because it's still kind of warm, but it's different enough for them that they're seeming to be able to go on without just constant water or just drooping down because they don't have a root. This little mime was so filled out, and then it leaned down in front of this little pot. So I have not been getting it in the pictures because it's been hidden. So I'm going to try to do that. Now look at this beautiful all I can think of usually is vinca, but periwinkle. Isn't that pretty? And that Angelonia is starting to get pretty again too. And this little gnome is one that my sister Rose gave me, and I added these little clippings here, and they were watered day before yesterday. They do not yet have a root, and they're still just going strong. They're in the process of making themselves a little root though. I think they will do well in this slightly cooler weather, and then we should get a rain tomorrow night or tomorrow evening, and that'll be great also. Look at these beautiful strawberry fields. I just love it when there's a clump of them. There's enough of them to really just show off. They've been scraggly looking all summer long, but now that it's just a little bit cooler, they're just going right ahead and filling out and looking great. it won't be long till it's time to dig up the caladiums. I did notice that a few of them have already lost their pretty the pretty foliage part, and just the stem is left, and if I leave it very much longer I'll forget where I had one, so I probably need to go ahead and start digging at least that one up, and maybe a few of these others. I've told you before, but I wish my little white Christmas one I would have got it where it would have shown up a little bit more, because it is so pretty. I know it's just white and green, but white and green is beautiful. Some people just want white and green gardens, and not only is it so pretty, but it's also just like having a light in the garden. It just brings you right to it. And I noticed that this little Gerber daisy is still looking good. This is one of my favorite colors of the coleus too, and this one is a shade coleus, and it's in the shade, so it's doing fine, which I love it. But I also love the sun coleus, like this beautiful red head coleus, simply because you can put them in full sun and they'll just keep on going. And this periwinkle is really shining this morning too. And here's another sun coleus looking really good. I love this color and this particular coleus. There's where I put a few more little clippings. You can tell they're a tiny bit wilty, but I think they'll all pick themselves up and go. And I did notice that my little burgundy spike, the grasshoppers have found it. I hate that, but they have. It's still pretty, so hopefully they won't take it out for me. And this little container is just really thriving right now in this weather, looking so good. Looks good enough to put it out front where people can really see it. This little hibiscus has totally bloomed a lot and just really shined for me. And I see there's another bud right here where it'll bloom again. I wish this had been blooming when my sister Kathy was here yesterday. She would have loved it. Kathy did mention that she loves cactus, and she has some that she started from little bitties and just sparse in the pot, and now they're just thriving and full. And then she saw this little succulent right here, and she said, oh, someday I would like one of those. So you know that I had to go get another battery. But I was saying that my sister loves cactus, and she had seen these in a different pot in the back, and she said someday I would like to have some of that. So when I came back out of the backyard, right there at the gate, I've got that one succulent basket, or I had that one succulent basket, and I gave it to her, and it just made me happy to make her happy for a little while. And I just, I wish her so much blessings and well and peace and happiness and joy and hope and all the good things of life, those wonderful things that truly money can't buy, even though I can't help but think it can help a lot toward that happiness. But anyway, what I'll do is I will get some of these little clippings and start me another pot. I told her, she said, oh, you can't give me all that. And I said, yes, they're just little clippings. It's not like I'm giving anything away that I don't have more of. So I'll take some of these little clippings and start my pot there in the back. And I've said before, giving the gift of a plant, when you take it off of one of your plants, it's like you can give a gift that you still get to keep. That's better than having your cake and eating it too. My little petunias are winding down, some of them, but some of them are still looking great. This one I clipped back. It was just all over the place and hiding this little girl, that I clipped it back and it's blooming again. And then, of course, my seed box petunias, even though a lot of them have gone to seed and a lot of them have even died and turned all brown, but they're still, it's like I have so many that when one of them goes away, another one just seems to start really getting into it, coming into its own and really shining for me. But I'm also thinking about taking these out of here. They won't live through the winter anyway, and they will have seeds I can put down next spring. Or I may, what I'm thinking about doing is pulling them out of there and planting some fall plants, or things that need to be planted in the fall. And I would love to get some of those started. And then actually I can still take those out and transplant them in the spring and fill this back up with petunias if I choose to. These all just came back from seed, like volunteer seed. I actually did go ahead and break them open and sprinkle them all in this though, and it did wonderfully. They just took off and went. And the petunias smell so nice. I love them. From the palest to the darkest one over here, they're all so beautiful. And I had to, well, I didn't have to, but this is a bleeding heart. And I know it looks ridiculous. It's dying out. And they go dormant early in the season, much less this late. This one was up under the eave of the house, and it kept cool, and it really lasted a long, long time. So I took this one and put it in the soil, and I'm trying to root it. If it doesn't root, that's fine. It's just the foliage that would die back anyway, and if it does, I've got an extra plant there. But this is the one I had to take and show to my sister Kathy, because this is called a crown of thorns, and it's a cactus, or at least in the cactus family. I've shown you the thorns before, so you can be sure that it, because it doesn't, to me, doesn't really look like a cactus, but I know cactus are pretty, but this is so pretty, and it blooms with these beautiful little, I don't know what you would call it, salmon orange. They're a bright salmon orange, I guess, but I'm going to now need to get a little clipping and get her one of these started. I knew she would love it. And I loved visiting with my youngest sister, Jetty, and I got to eat her boys, and I just, they were a little shy of me because I don't get to be around them very much. So, you know, if you can't get kisses anywhere else, the thing to do is take those boys' shoes off, because they can't believe you would actually kiss their foot. And so they just don't try to get away. They're just standing there with their mouth open thinking, did she just do that? But I'm telling you, that foot is just as good. And you know that if you had a baby, they put them in their mouths and you just can't help but want to put them in yours. I just do it. I just put those little feet in my mouth, and I just love them. They're so soft and sweet, and I got to love on those boys. I had to cajole the one out by telling him I needed some help getting the peaches off the tree because I couldn't reach them. So if I lifted him up, he could reach them, and we just had the most wonderful little moment. Both boys and I. The oldest one, he's already bonded to me. The youngest one is on his way. They're going to be my boys too. It's just amazing to live a long enough time in life to see those little feet and those little, all of them, that grow from a child into a man. And you're just like that father that ran out to meet his prodigal son. I did that one time to my nephew Shane. I ran out to meet him just like he was a little kid, and I was fixing to kiss him on the face, and then I thought maybe this is not appropriate since his wife is here with him, so I fell on his neck and kissed him like it says in the Bible. It just seemed like the only natural thing to do was to go ahead and give him that kiss, but don't be putting that on his face. So I just landed right there on his neck, and I thought when I was doing it, oh my, this is how that father felt when his prodigal son came home. Not that Shane was the prodigal son, but he just grew up. It's amazing when they're growing up, you totally don't see it because it's happening slowly. You have to actually get the pictures out and then realize, oh my, look how they've changed from this picture to that picture. But one day when you realize they're no longer a child, they're a man, it's just, or a woman, it's just an amazing, amazing feeling to know that you held that little one, you held that little foot in the palm of your hand. More of the mums are opening up also. This is one of the little angels that I got at our local etc. shop, and isn't she beautiful? She's actually the only one that I got put up. The rest of them I still need to find a place for, and I hope to get to do that today. But I had a wonderful day yesterday, even though I missed out on doing some other things. I did get what was in my heart I got to do and enjoy my family. And speaking of family, my sister Rose loved her plants, and she's got so many. You would think she wouldn't even want any more, but that's kind of like we all are. We just collect more and more. Once we get started, we just keep going. And my refrigerator is full of nail polish, and if I go to town, I've got to get another nail polish, like I really need that. So that's just the way it is. But she loved her plants, and I loved being with her for that little bit of time too. And she works at the Monroney Aeronautical Airport in Oklahoma City, and they were doing a write-up on her story for their paper, and she read some of it to me, and she does have an amazing story. Someday I hope to write a book, actually. I hope it's for my family, if nothing else, but I think every family would relate, even though they don't maybe go through the same struggles. There's just so much of humanity that we all go through and have to get through rough times, and then we get to share joy and find the Lord real and true and strong in our lives, and realize what He did for us, and how none of it would matter at all if it wasn't for Him. He's the first great love. From where all the other love that we have grows from. This little plant is still wilted, but look, it's trying to pick itself up. I think it's going to be fine. It's going to do fine there. And I was thinking it's a redhead clolis, but it's not. I think it might be, it's either the Peter's Wonder or the Perella. I need to trim this little rose off of this, or not off, but trim it down so those old long canes won't be out there. And then look at this Every day it's looking brighter and more pretty. I need to take at least one more bouquet to my physical therapists that helped me when I had my knee surgery. And I hope I remember to put some of these in the bouquet. And then after that, I may take some more next year, but the garden will be going dormant before long, and we'll all get a rest, and it'll be nice. But we'll start missing this. I will miss this. I miss coming outside and enjoying it. But honestly, I miss coming outside and enjoying it all summer long, because when it's so terribly hot, it's not really an enjoyment. I love the zinnias. And these are also blanket flowers there, and then the zinnias. But I planted several, but a lot of them did not make it and didn't germinate and come up. So, and I think I've got some tiny little seedlings coming up now, which may actually get to be a plant, and I get to enjoy those too. But I'm going to have to try to plant more next year. There's that morning glory that I love, that doesn't get quite as invasive, so I'm letting it grow there. And these, I've found that they do go back to whatever they were hybridized from, whatever morning glory they were, but they live from seed several years before they go back, so I get to enjoy these for a long time. This is my Russian sage, and it's looking better too. The last time I showed it to you, it was kind of just laid down. It was blooming sparsely, but now it's picking up its bloom and just looking gorgeous. And this beautiful crepe myrtle has got, I noticed, some little tiny baby ones down there, and I'll want to get those up. And I just have a feeling that I have a niece that would love those. Is that right, Lacey? And I need to clip these off. They're looking raggedy, and I need to save these for seed. Look at this one. Isn't that awesome? All that color. This is pretty. There's some more of those beautiful strawberry fields. I just love this pale. This actually, if I had a favorite color, this would be it. This pale yellow, like downy chick yellow. That's my favorite. I'm going to say that's my favorite color. But honestly, I have to also add, you can't have a favorite color any more than you can have a favorite child, because you just love them all. Let's face it, we do love all the colors. And I did kind of rearrange this pot a bit. Oh, and look, the verbena is blooming. I didn't know if it would again. I really expected it would not. But and there's some of that blue scabiosa or pincushion flower blooming. I love this periwinkle. I said I was going to plant more periwinkles this year, and I did, because they make it through the summer. They may not just really shine, but they live through the summer. And then when the earliest cool weather, even when it's not really cool, but when it begins to be nice, they just begin to really shine. And I have a feeling it's our hot weather that's not allowing me to grow Calabrachoa, because look, this is Calabrachoa, and it was looking totally dead. And now that it's just a little bit cooler, look at that beautiful bloom. Of course, it's scraggly, but wouldn't that be gorgeous? I know it is gorgeous. I've seen it growing when it's just full. But this is the one that looks pretty for me in our Oklahoma weather, the sedums. But it is looking pretty today. And this is my daughter's favorite, the blanket flower. She used to tell me it was one of the only flowers that belonged in my garden because it was a native flower. But we have both learned that Oklahoma has a lot of native flowers. And the ones that aren't, a lot of them do well here. Of course, a lot of them don't, like the calabrachoas, but I'm going to learn with the Lord's help. I'm going to try to learn how to grow those. There's another zinnia that I will need to save for seed, and I noticed this one back here. I've pointed it out to you before when it actually had some color, that I'll need to get that one in for seed too, because that's a little beauty, even though it's all faded now. And I've noticed that to get the other plants around them that I've got planted to live, I end up having to get my sedums to lay down in the middle. That's probably getting too much water for it. But I've noticed the ones in pots do better, or most of the ones I have in pots do better. So I may end up putting those in pots along here, and hopefully then they won't get as much water, or even if they do get as much water, the pot's not going to retain the water as long, and they may do better like that. And I'm judging that by this little pot right here. Look how well this sedum has done in here. It looks so good. So, and even it has got it's a little laid over in the middle. So I may need to put some different soil in there also and get these where they will work. But I'm thinking pots may be the way to go for my sedum. I thought these would probably fill out once the cooler weather got here, and I thought right. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? And I've noticed that my black-eyed Susan vine are looking chipper now that it's just a bit cooler, because actually I'm beginning to sweat around the temples right now. But any other time recently, and my hair would be stuck to my neck and all over the place because of the heat. Oh, these little ones are suffering a tad bit. They're wondering where that gardener is. Well, actually, they probably know I'm out here, because that's what I learned in What a Plant Knows. But they're probably wondering, well, why does she not have a water hose in her hand over my head here? Oh, look at this. This looks like something that should be in that bouquet I was telling you I was going to fix one more up before they all go dormant. And look at this, because I planted several and got this one. Isn't that pretty though? I love that color of red, so bright and pretty. Look at these impatiens just billowing out of there. I know, I just think my plants are so gorgeous. I just love being out here looking at how they change, and then I go even downtown and see how more lush and more beautiful they are. But you got to know this is just from hand watering too, or using a sprinkler, but it doesn't reach over here this far. And it really doesn't matter. I don't care how small they are. The beauty is still there. And I enjoy it all. It looks like these little rose moss could use some water too. It looks pretty pathetic right there and right there. But this one's still looking great. Oh, I see I have one of my little blush or rosy black-eyed Susan vine blooms blooming today. I hesitated when I said that I might put petunias again in my seed box in the spring, because I may put profusion zinnias in there. That's a pretty little plant too that doesn't get really tall, but it's just so pretty, especially in the fall when it can really shine. And I wish I would have got more to come up this year. Oh, and there's some of that Helenium. Isn't that pretty? This is a clematis or clematis that I need to get out here and rustle all these ugly leaves off of. But this little butterfly is still enjoying it. So now if you keep watching the Garden Scroll channel and going on Garden Scrolls with me, it won't be long till you'll have to hear me whining about losing all of this. I whined about the heat, and now I'm going to be whining about losing it, because here they are, gorgeous, beautiful, and it'll be for such a short time. I heard that in a poem one time about when we retire and we're free at last, but it's just for a short time, and then we're not here anymore. But we'll be free. We'll be free indeed. And I would say I'm not a whiner, because I never looked at myself as a whiner. I've had a relatively hard life, and I've struggled with a lot of things, but I just have been able to keep going through them all. And usually it's always my God and my family that help me through those hard times. That's truly the real reason to keep on going. But with their help and with that strength that comes from that help, I have been able to go on. So I never considered myself a whiner until my husband pointed it out to me and called me a whiner. And I did not think I was going to agree with that. I didn't agree with that. So I looked at my daughter, who was probably around maybe 16 at the time, and I said, "I'm not a whiner, am I?" And she looked me right in the eye and said, "Yes, Mom, you are." So I think I got my answer there. But then they say that whining is just anger coming out of a small hole. And so I'm just thinking everybody should be very glad that I whine, because you really wouldn't want that hole to erupt like a volcano. Very few people have seen that happen, and I'm sure they wouldn't want to see it happen again. Nor do I enjoy that happening. That's why I'd rather just whine until I can find a place where I can accept and go on with my life. But there was a commercial about that little whiner. I think I've mentioned her before, because I just loved her. She was on that where you go online for dating. She was an example of what not to be looking for, but I loved her. She came in and was whining about everything, and then she added, "and this dress is too pink." So, that's just the way we are. If you whine, you whine. Whoa, and here's something to whine about. Oh my goodness. These are blister bugs, but they're like a soft, pale, gray, greenish color, and they eat my clematis up. They will eat this until there's nothing left but just the veins. The veins will be the only thing here. I've got to spray this, and it's probably too late for it to bloom beautifully. I love it when this plant just is a big billow of bloom. I just love it. I've got to start spraying this sooner. But I was going to say, we only whine when we have to, and we cry when we have to. But as much as we can, we smile and try to have hope and try to give others hope. Get that lovely Silver Falls Dichandra or Dichondra. I love that plant. And I'm so glad I got this area cleaned up before my sister came, even though it wouldn't have mattered to her. She would have loved it anyway. But I was just so happy that it was a lot cleaner than it had been before she came. That we got it cleaned up and it's looking so much better. I'm enjoying it so much more. I'm hoping to put one of these pretty dahlias in my bouquet that I want to take to my physical therapist for one last bouquet for the year. Hopefully we'll do some more next year. Get that blue plumbago. Isn't that pretty? I just love blue in the garden. I guess because it's more unexpected than the pinks and whites and purples and violet colors. Well, that was fun, and if you enjoyed it at least half as much as I did, please give me a like and subscribe to the channel.